There's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
So, you're just going to play that clip again?
I'm going to play it until it stops being true.
But it's not true. There's TV Blade.
First rule of TV Blade, you don't talk about TV Blade.
Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we are watching Blade 2 from 2002 because Blade from Marvel Studios was supposed to come out today again, but it didn't.
It sure didn't.
So anyway, Bill, what did you think of Blade 2?
I think it's so easy to make a Blade movie. They proved it twice.
They did. Why can't Marvel make a Blade movie?
The world may never know.
They announced a Blade movie 6 years ago, and
it gets worse and worse.
and it still has not happened.
Multiple directors, multiple writers.
Yeah, it's like Blade's a cool character. He kills vampires. Go.
You don't need a complicated plot. Case in point, the plot of Blade 2. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Blade 2 is a different movie than I thought it was. In fact, I'm pretty sure at this point I've seen Blade 1 way more than I've seen Blade 2.
I would say I've definitely seen Blade 1 a little bit more than Blade 2, but I've seen Blade 2 more than...
Oh, I've seen Blade 2 enough, but, you know, in the Blade trilogy, I'm like, I think I get things between 2 and 3 confused, and I'm like, oh, right, this is the movie with the vampire.
Hey, this is the movie with the guy who looks way cooler than their version of Dracula.
That is true.
That Nosferatu-looking motherfucker.
Yeah, seriously. And I guess, like, the Blade vampire logic, you know, I don't know if, like, the older vampires are supposed to be more powerful. I guess they're just, like, wiser.
I don't know, because you got the purebloods,
Yeah.
the half-breeds, the lone daywalker.
Right. And then we've got the familiars in this, too.
Who are just regular humans.
Also, one thing about Blade 2 that is kind of funny now. I'm like, holy crap, it's Norman Reedus. Look at how young he is. I guess if you didn't watch Walking Dead or the video game Death Stranding, he's pretty well known in those circles. But
I've heard the name.
yeah, he's the guy, man, I'm forgetting his name now. Skid or whatever his name is. Scum.
Scud?
Scud, that's right, because it rhymes with stud. Yeah, Scud.
Huh.
That guy. I was like, holy crap, it's Norman Reedus. I was like shocked. I was like, oh, wow. But yeah, besides that, Blade 2 is pretty cool. I would say it has a lot more style, if anything.
Well, you know, we have a Guillermo del Toro in the director's chair, so there's a bit more quality in the filmmaking.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get some of the weirdness of the first Blade movie with some of the weird transitions that they did and things like that. It's overall a much more polished product.
Yeah. I would say, like, you know, Blade 1 might have a slightly better story than Blade 2.
I would agree.
But, like, Blade 2 just has better scenes and it's just, like, a cooler movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because of, like, you know, the music tracks, just, like, there's a lot of, like, instances of Blade, like, killing things and just looking badass in this movie as, like, a cool rap song plays.
Well, you know, you get your first movie and it does well. You get a little bit more money. You can do more cool stuff.
Yeah. But
I would give Deacon Frost the edge of being a more interesting villain because just an unlikable sleaze as opposed to the kind of generic monsters here. But they're at least a good kind of generic.
yeah.
We have the Reaper.
Yes.
The weird new vampires, as you put them.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I could really describe them as, unless, like,
With
I'm
their
like,
weird predator mouths.
yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to call them, like, super vampires, because, like, they're not.
And they were an attempt, apparently.
Yeah,
So it's not that far off.
they're like proto-super vampires.
They all kind of look very Orlocky.
Yeah, you know, they're bald, and, you know, they kind of have, like, the pointed ears and stuff,
And like the kind of main head vampire we see, he's very Orlock.
yeah, he sure is. He's so old. There's that one scene where he's eating, like, I can only assume is, like, blood jello. And I'm like, he's old, you get it? He can't, like, bite people anymore, but, like, he still drinks blood, but it's got to be, like, jello now.
Or it was just Jello, and he just likes Jello.
Maybe, but
Look, I associate Jello with monsters now.
it's It's true. But, you know, Blade is looking for Whistler, of course, at the beginning of the movie, because I guess Whistler didn't kill himself.
Or he was a really bad shot.
Yeah, he missed, I guess.
The vampires just took him and just sort of like tortured him for 2 years.
I guess when he turned into a vampire, he kind of like lost himself. Which,
As you would.
Yeah, which I guess is the thing. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's like, I guess it's vague if like you're turned into a vampire. Do you remember your past life, or do you just like immediately start from scratch to a certain degree?
I mean, I don't know. Depends on the version. Depends on the story. The beginning part does have my favorite through line of the whole movie, where the one guy he like captures and tortures to bring to Whistler. He pops up at least 2 more times in the movie.
Yeah.
We see him for a second at the nightclub, and he runs scared of Blade. Blade's got the little smirk on his face, and then Blade, just the very end of the movie, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think I forgot about you?"
So good.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, pretty fun. Yeah, you know, Blade is pretty awesome in this movie. It's like kind of like peak Blade being awesome.
Oh, definitely. The Blade movies peaked here. It was all
Yeah.
downhill after this.
Yeah. I think like my only criticism of, you know, this era of Blade, I don't like his like weird sword like slot in his coat. The sword sheath should just be on the outside of his coat, but I don't know, it just looks weird when he just has like the sword handle sticking out from the top of his coat instead of it just being in a sheath on his back on his coat. It's like a really weird pet peeve of mine.
I didn't really bump into that at all.
Yeah, I'm just like, it looks so weird. Like, I get it. It's so he could just like take off the coat. But like, I'm just like, wow, that's weird. He has like a weird little sword slit at the top of his
I
coat.
think they were just thinking practicality.
Yeah, I don't know.
That way he could take his coat off but still have the sword strapped to his back.
Yeah,
I get the logic.
yeah, I do too. But I just think it kind of looks a little silly.
I didn't bump into it.
Yeah,
I barely noticed it. I was too busy watching Blade kick ass.
I mean, he does. He's got his cool little boomerangs in this movie and his like ridiculously big gun. It's like kind of like, man, it's funny too, because in this movie I always, you know, see like, it's like, man, it's like that early 2000s is just like that Matrix aesthetic, which technically, you know, the Matrix didn't start, but like
Blade started it.
yeah. But it's just like there, it's just like everybody's wearing coats and sunglasses, and it's just like, oh man.
Look, Blade did it first,
He did do it first.
so he's allowed.
Yeah.
Nobody else is, though,
No.
because they're posers. But Blade did it first, so
But
he gets a pass.
But it is kind of funny. It's like the whole trench coat, sunglasses, you know, swords, and vampires and stuff.
The whole gimmick of this movie is the vampires reach out to Blade. We need your help. There's worse things than us, and they're trying to kill us.
Yeah.
We need you. And we get the I forget what the name they call him, but there's a team of vampires trained to hunt Blade, and
Right.
Blade's got to lead them to hunt the Reapers.
The Ron Perlman vampire, Reinhardt, or whatever his name is.
Ron Perlman,
Yeah.
right before Hellboy.
From that group of vampires, too. He's kind of like, he just like sucks the most, too.
Oh yeah.
Like, just
The
like,
others are just kind of there.
yeah. Also, it's just like, man, that like Ron Perlman vampire, Reiner, it's like, man, it's like, you're like, I'm better than you, Blade. And I'm like, really? You're better than Blade. That's why you're copying everything about him, right? You're wearing sunglasses, you got a trench coat. It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, Ron Perlman vampire?
You're very insecure.
Yeah. I guess like a Suicide Squad-esque like device that Blade attaches to his head.
Yeah, the little bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun. But yeah, you know, we got, I think is it Donnie Yen or?
Yeah, that was Donnie Yen.
Okay.
I don't think he talked.
No, but he had swords.
Yep.
And it was just like, hey, that's cool. Got like big guy with a hammer.
Who has a
thing.
girl.
And yeah, and girl.
And there was 2 other dudes and Blade's love interest, sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Nisa or whatever.
She's the daughter of the head vampire,
Yeah.
Lord Vampire.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. You know what's weird?
Yeah.
I remember the name of like the first in that group that dies because his name is Priest for some reason. And they're like, they got Priest.
Yeah, main vampire guy's got like a weird name.
Yeah. I know the vampire guy. His name is like Narmak or something. He has a weird name. Like,
yeah.
it's like Nurmak or something. It's kind of weird too, because like as this movie progresses, it's just like, okay, they're hunting these like vampires that feed on other vampires, and the problem is like, it's like, well, you got to understand these things like they just don't have any control. They're like crack addicts. As soon as they start feeding, they just don't stop.
They need blood like every couple hours. They just got to keep eating.
Yeah, because they have like, I guess, super metabolisms, and this kind of fits in with like the Marvel comics of like, is it supernatural or is it science? Because it's kind of like more science in this movie, oddly enough.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because like they're talking about like viruses and metabolisms and
Genetic creations.
yeah, and these vampires are pretty much like immune to like most of the things that kill vampires, except for sunlight.
Yeah.
And I guess if you stab them in the right spot.
Yeah, they established when they dissect one that it has like a protective shell over its heart, but if you get in through the side, you can kill it.
Yeah.
Which Blade does.
Yeah.
Well,
indeed.
he's tried to.
Yeah. Well, he eventually does.
Well, the guy kind of finished the job himself.
Yeah. I guess so. It's kind of weird though, because like throughout the movie, it's sort of like there are no like real main villains in the movie. I guess it's like this Reaper thing.
You just kind of know, okay. And Blade figures it too.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, at some point, this little team up is going to go south. So you're basically waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
And of course it happens.
Oh, yeah.
And of course we find out, oh, we lied when we told you the Reaper thing was this like disease, viral anomaly. Yeah, we created them. And
Yeah.
they went wrong. Because we're trying to create a master race of super vampires.
Pretty much.
And we want your blood to make them all daywalkers.
Yes. Because Blade is the daywalker.
Yes.
And none of them get to walk in the sunlight.
Nope. Just him and Drake.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that eventually.
Yep.
Yeah, Blade 2, though. It's interesting because, like, Blade, once again, has, like, a sort of, like, not romance, kind of romance.
I would say it's more of a romance than the first movie.
Yeah.
Because he almost looks like he cares.
Yeah.
But they never, like, I don't remember, they didn't, like, kiss her or anything.
No.
They just he kind of held her as she died.
She, like, drinks his blood.
She seems like she kind of liked him a little, but yeah, I don't know. But then again, Blade, he's complicated, man.
He is complicated. So complicated.
Yeah, Blade's not gonna let himself fall in love with a vampire. He's not stupid.
Yeah, especially that vampire, because she's like, she's like connected to like the prime vampire.
Kinda, or at least one of them.
Yeah, one of the purebloods.
One of the dark lords of the vampire world.
Yeah, but you still have Blade, taking his like serum, to combat the thirst. I guess he has it more under control in this one than he did in the first one.
Yeah, I think he's got a better serum now.
Yeah, Dr. Lady made a better one for
Yeah,
him.
and I guess he still has that vampire cure.
Yeah.
Which,
I guess works.
yeah, it worked on Whistler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes back to normal and he's just fine. And
I'm he's fine until the third movie.
Yeah, I was just about to say that because I'm like, I don't even know if he's in the third movie.
He is, but he dies in the first act.
Oh, man.
They went out of their way to bring him back to life for this movie, only to kill him off at the beginning of the next one. What was why?
Man, Blade Trinity, I haven't seen it in a long time, and I'm just like thinking to myself, man, who directed Blade Trinity? Brett Ratner? Like,
David Goyer.
Oh, boy. That's disappointing. David Goyer is a better writer, I guess, than a director.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
If his stuff gets polished up by like a Christopher Nolan
Yeah.
or Guillermo del Toro.
I guess that's true. Wow, that's funny. David Goyer directed that movie. Wow, now I'm more interested in seeing it. But
We'll get to it.
yeah. But it is kind of weird because, like, the main Reaper guy, essentially, like, he's trying to kill, like, Nosferatu vampire.
Because it's his father.
Yeah. And, Nosferatu vampire, he's so, like, spineless and stupid. It's just like, man, like, you're so dumb. But
Yeah, just basically gets himself killed.
it's almost like after that guy gets killed, it's like kind of like, well, I killed him, so like we're good now. And then like Blade's like, nah, I still have to kill you because super vampirism.
Yeah, nah. I can't let that be.
Yeah.
I gotta kill you. This is what I do.
Yeah.
But now prepare for the kick-ass fight scene.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool, you know.
It's full on.
Yeah. But
I think my one issue with some of the fights in this movie is like every once in a while you get like did we really need that flippy bit to be done by CGI?
yeah, I noticed at the beginning of the movie the fight between Blade Nisa and the other guy when they're in their suits. Like, I guess that's like 100% CGI when they're like
There's a few
moving real fast.
There's a few moments where like they're sort of silhouette-y, but you can just tell it's rubbery early 2000s CGI.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work.
Also, sometimes I've noticed there's been like, maybe it's not even CGI, but it's like there's weird moments where like it almost seems like they like sped up the footage and it kind of like looks a little wonky.
Yeah.
But the one in front of the lights especially is like where I can tell it's like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
those are like cartoon characters.
Yeah,
What
no,
happened?
I don't know why they did that.
Yeah.
When it's just Wesley Snipes and the stunt guys just doing their thing, it looks great.
Yeah.
Just should have just been that. And they weren't even like crazy like moves. Like I understand if he's doing like maybe like a crazy kind of thing, but it's like, oh, he just did like a flip.
Yeah.
Like, just get some wires. What are we doing here?
I don't know. It was like a flip and a high jump or something. And it just looks so awkward.
Yeah, it would have looked better if it was just some wire work and some just proper stunt guys doing their thing.
Yeah.
Because it would be real and it would look real.
Yeah, definitely.
Case in point, every John Wick movie.
Yeah.
And, all those martial arts movies from the last, I don't know,
50 years.
decades.
Yeah.
Just decades of awesome martial art fights.
Yeah, I guess like, maybe they use the CGI to just be like, well, we can make them do like something like unrealistic that like a human couldn't do. But it's like, well, I think with like the right like planning and wire work, you probably could have made humans do it and it probably would have looked better.
Oh, it definitely would have looked better.
But yeah, kind of weird choices when it's used.
It's especially surprising from like a Guillermo del Toro because this doesn't seem like something he would do. Maybe he didn't have as much, say, control as like he would over like a Hellboy or something like that later on.
Yeah, who knows?
It just seems like something like, nah, we could do this practically, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like a studio thing where they're like, we have this technology, you have to use it at least for like this scene.
It's like,
so
I don't know. Maybe they thought it would look better. Maybe because I remember noticing it even like years ago. I'm like, ooh, that don't look great.
Yeah, I mean, even what we discussed in the first Blade movie with like, they changed like the final fight because of like the computer effects didn't look good.
Yeah, no,
So,
that weird. Yeah, that would have looked bad. Instead, it was
Yeah.
just two dudes fighting.
Yeah.
And that's most of the last fight. There's a few moments where I'm like, not as bad as the first big fight with the ninja vamps.
Yeah, I think like the only thing about Blade 2 that's like a little like, visual effects do work, but like, the solar grenades and stuff like that.
Some of that looks a little wonky.
Yeah, like
When it's just like a flash of light, it looks fine. But it's like that weird kind of like light fire going through the sewer looks
Yeah.
kind of weird.
I think in general, like, and it's more of a problem with the third movie, but when they start like introducing like the solar weapons, I'm just like, it's not as cool if like, it's just like, I'm gonna like shine a flashlight on a vampire and it dies. It's like, I kind of just prefer if you like stab a vampire in the heart or cut their head off. Like,
It's more visceral.
yeah,
It's more interesting.
It's just like, oh, the sun kills them and they like explode. I'm like, that's kind of like stupid. Like, I mean, like, I guess it would be cooler if like you kicked a vampire out a window or something and it was daytime, but
Yeah,
it
that'd
could
be
just
cool.
be like, here's a flashlight and it's gonna be like a flamethrower. I'm like,
You know what would be kind of cool? Blade fighting like a guy, like a vampire. Blade's got a gun. And like maybe they're having like a sword fight or a fist fight or whatever. And rather than shooting the vampire, Blade's shooting the walls. So as the fight is progressing, there's just more and more like beams of light. So the
Yeah.
guy he's fighting has to like struggle around the beams. He's like, and he's like getting burned and singed.
Yeah.
Like that would be like kind of creative. There's something to a fight. That would be a cool fight to see.
yeah, seriously. Yeah, I guess like, they had the one weapon in this movie that, coagulates the blood, but it didn't work on the super vampire, but they show his like skin all shifting and stuff. Like the little knife hands.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I always think it's dumb too when what's his name, Scud, is like also like a familiar, and it's just like, I was bad the whole time.
I like that Blade knew.
Yeah.
Because it makes Blade smart and not stupid.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, yeah, I figured that out. I realized right away.
Yeah.
Because he probably never trusted him to begin with.
Exactly.
Because why would he? He
Yeah.
only trusts Whistler.
Yeah. Even Whistler was like, I'm just starting to like him. Oh well. But yeah, pretty sure he gets killed in a horrible way.
Yeah, he gets because he said the little
gets the bomb,
the
yeah.
neck bomb. He's like, it was a dud. It was never real. And then Blade's just like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And he blows him up.
It's like I made it real.
He damn right he did.
Yeah. Overall, it's pretty good. Blade doesn't get with Nissa at the end.
He plays the kind of character that doesn't get the girl. He
Yeah.
loses the girl.
It's a cool moment at the end. I thought he was gonna be like holding her in his arms, and then like she turned to ash, but like they're kind of just like sitting there. Then she turns to ash, but it's a cool moment, like cool visual.
Yeah.
Of that,
And we get that hilarious little button at the end with that guy.
Yeah, which is great.
So fun.
The more you watch these like movies, and if you know anything about like old comic book Blade, especially since like I went back, it's just like and read some old comic book Blade via and like some Spider-Man stuff and whatever. It's just like, wow, like I know the movie version really like changed Blade for the better, but like I feel like it's also like Wesley Snipes added a lot of his own personality to Blade too now. That, when he says like there can only be one Blade, it's like, yeah, because he kind of like created the modern Blade in some ways.
The character basically got reinvented.
Yeah. And like that interpretation really doesn't exist without Wesley Snipes.
The Blade movie changed the Blade character forever. Just like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies have changed those characters forever.
Right.
Star-Lord is irreversibly changed.
Yeah.
He can never be the straight-laced hero again. He can only be a roguish outlaw.
Seriously. They made a character called Star-Lord. Kind of cool.
And Blade will always be this badass in a black coat with a sword.
Yeah. And Blade is cool. And it is so disappointing that Marvel Studios can't get their act together for like a Blade movie. Because if you really think about it, it's like, this is a Blade movie could probably be made for like, less than like probably like $100 million if you really tried.
I bet you could make a really decent Blade movie for like the budget of like one of the early John Wick movies, and it would be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Because just focus on the fighting. Just keep the visual effects to the vampires exploding, blood or fire, whatever you want to do.
And even
or
if
ash or whatever.
Yeah. And that's if you even need to do that, Like the whole thing's at night, just like stabbing people and...
Because the vampires got to turn to ash or something.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Because it's cooler. It looks cool.
Yeah, I guess they don't just like pile up bodies, huh?
No.
They like explode. Whatever.
It's more interesting if they explode.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shouldn't be complicated.
No. I mean, like, the formula exists. I mean, for Blade movies, like, Blade's in a place. It has to rescue somebody.
It's sad that we're, 23 years removed from the last good Blade movie?
Yeah.
Because after this, it was all downhill.
Sure was.
Blade Trinity, that TV show, and a voiceover cameo.
I don't remember the TV show being bad, but you are right that it only lasted one season, therefore it was bad.
Look, it might have been fine for the time, but I'm sure it probably... would it hold up if I tried watching it?
Part of me is just like, do I even want to make the effort to watch it?
I don't even know if you can.
I don't...
They released it on DVD.
Yeah, that's true.
And the pilot movie is on like the 4 Film Favorites Blade DVD collection, if you can still find that somewhere.
Right.
But I don't know if that show is on streaming.
It'd be so funny if it was.
It's like on Tubi or something.
Or just like it's on HBO Max. It's like, wow, you got rid of like all this stuff, but like you have the Blade TV show still.
God, could you imagine?
It's like, okay. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? I mean, that was on Spike TV, which I guess is Paramount now.
It's the Paramount Network now.
So,
Spike TV is gone.
So it might be on Paramount Plus.
It was made by because it would have been made by Warner Brothers Television with or New Line or whatever.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
So they would own the show.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that show maybe would have done better if it was on a different network. Because Spike TV, they didn't have scripted shows.
No.
They had like a couple of cartoons, the Blade series, and then just like wrestling and UFC and reality shows.
Yeah. Spike TV just immediately became a joke as soon as it like aired too. It was just kind of like, what is this? Like Spike TV.
It's it's the network for men.
It's like, isn't that like every network? Like at least at that time, except for E.
I don't know. I just remember like because you had Lifetime television for women, so Spike TV was television for men. And I remember laughing. I'm like, okay, this movie's all about this. This network's is this filled with TV movies about women getting assaulted, and this is like just wrestling and MMA fighting.
Yeah,
The dichotomy of the world.
seriously. But yeah, I don't know. All I remember about Spike TV is that like director Spike Lee tried to sue him for like being like, "You're using my name."
That did that actually happen?
I think it did.
Insert truth here.
Yeah, it's something like that. That I know Spike Lee like tried to sue them or something.
That'd be so stupid if he did that.
Either that or I'm completely wrong and I dreamed it, but like I could have swore something like that happened.
Insert truth here still.
Yeah. But with that being said, I don't know if I have anything else to say about Blade 2 except it's pretty cool.
It's awesome. Give it a watch. It's fun. The last good live action Blade thing, probably.
Yeah.
Possibly forever.
Well.
Oh no, you know what? No,
Deadpool,
I'm wrong.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah.
That was good Blade stuff because
Yeah.
it was a fun movie and Blade was in it.
Yeah.
So therefore, okay, the streak has been broken.
Yes.
And they should just make Old Man Blade with Wesley Snipes and forget about the other one.
Yeah. That would be cool.
They can't make it. They've tried and they failed.
No.
Just make Old Man Blade.
Yep. But I guess that's Out of Touch podcast for this week. Go watch Blade, number 2.
Well, you didn't think I forgot about you, did you?